Grace to you and peace from God who is, who was, and who is to come. I love the Gospel of Mark. It's fresh every time I read it. It's an especially great read if you can do it in the original Greek, because the author is just so excited to get to this story. I imagine him standing up in front of a crowd and just spewing out this fantastic, incredible story of Jesus of Nazareth. And then I picture someone sitting out there in the crowd, pen and paper in hand, furiously writing away as Mark is revealing this drama, this passion, this life of Jesus, and let it be infused into the very hearts and souls and ears of those people. Too often, though, I think that English translations attempt to clean up Mark's poor grammar, his questionable use of pronouns, his repetitions of words and phrases. As an example, this is how a transliteration or a word-for-word translation of Mark would sound. And Jesus, having crossed over in the boat again to the other side, was gathered together a large crowd to him, and he was beside the lake, and out comes of the synagogue leaders by the name of Jairus, and having seen him, he falls down at the feet of him and begs him earnestly, saying, My daughter is at the point of death, that having come you may put your hand on her in order that she may be saved and live. And he went with her. And following him were a large crowd, and they were pressing against him. And a woman being with flow of blood 12 years, and having suffered much by many physicians, and having spent everything with her, and having benefited nothing, but rather into a worse, having come, and having heard about Jesus, having come in the crowd behind her, she touched the garments of him. For she was saying, If I may touch even the garments, I will be healed. And immediately was dried up at the fountain of blood of her. And she knew in her body that she had been cured from the terrible affliction. And immediately Jesus was having known within himself, the power having gone out from himself, having turned around in the crowd, and he was saying, Who touched my garments? And we're saying to him, the disciples of him, you see the crowd pressing against you, and you say, Who touched me? And he was looking around to see the one having done this. Now the woman was fearing and trembling, having known what had happened to her. She came and fell down before him and said to him the whole truth. And he said to her, Daughter, the faith of you has saved you. Go in peace and be healed from the affliction of you. And I'm stopping there because I need to breathe. Mark doesn't use punctuation either. Now, hopefully, though, you get the picture. There were a couple of differences, though, that I'd like to point out between what I just read and what our New Revised Standard Version said. Now, you caught, right, the jumping around of the tenses in there. Past tense, present tense, it doesn't really matter to Mark. He's in such a hurry to get this message out. Because for Mark, things are very immediate. You heard that word twice in the section that I read. You heard it 4 times in the whole passage this morning. Did you know, in all of the Bible, the word immediately is used 78 times. 27 of those times are in Mark's gospel alone. Because for Mark, things are important. They are immediate. They are happening right now. Also in our passage, Mark uses the word sothing, which in our translation was used to mean be healed. And that's an acceptable translation, but it literally means to be saved. That's how I use it in the transliteration. It's used in verse 23 when Dad Jairus says to Jesus, Put your hands on my daughter that she may be saved and live. And again in verse 34 where Jesus says to the woman with the hemorrhage, Daughter, your faith has saved you. Now I want to be careful at this point, though, not to veer off into works righteousness. That's one of those big churchy phrases that not a lot of people outside of the church really understand. Well, really not a lot of people inside the church understand it either. When pastors talk about works righteousness, what we're meaning is the thought that by doing good things, by feeding the hungry, by visiting people in prison, by donating to church or other charitable organizations, by being a part of the Big Sister or the Big Brother program, or whatever it is, that by doing something, we are going to earn God's love. That's what works righteousness is. It's thinking, well, if I do enough good things, God will have to love me. God will have to bring me into heaven. Now, please don't get me wrong. Those are all great things to do. So please do feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the people in trouble, and especially help kids who need help. But remember that doing those things does not earn us God's grace and love and forgiveness. Those are all given to us freely, no strings attached, through the death and resurrection of Jesus. Do you remember, though, what it was that Jesus told both Jairus and the woman? What was it that saved them? Faith. The faith that Jairus had that Jesus could save/heal his daughter. The faith that this unnamed woman had that Jesus could save/heal her when no one else was able to. They both acted on faith. Jairus asking on behalf of his daughter, the woman by reaching out and touching Jesus' cloak. God gives us that faith. After that, a lot depends on our own personalities. Mark got that faith, and he couldn't keep quiet. He couldn't even slow down enough to write a good, grammatically correct gospel. Jairus got that faith, which compelled him to brave the crowds and approach this radical, kind of weird new teacher that he had heard about. This poor, disadvantaged, socially ostracized woman had faith to go where she was not allowed, around other people, and to do what she was not supposed to do, have contact with a man to whom she was not related. By virtue of our baptism, God has given us faith. By the simple act of you being here this morning must mean that God is active in your heart, urging you to do whatever acts of faith that you are called to, whatever it is that you are capable of doing. Now, we can choose to reject that faith. However, God calls us to act on that faith. To act on that faith in God's name, to reach out in God's name, to touch the hearts and the minds of faith of those around us, at home, at work, in our neighborhoods, at school, wherever. Sisters and brothers, allow God to fill your heart. Allow God to move your hands and to reach out with God's grace and strength and love and forgiveness. Allow yourself to be so thankful, to be healed, to be saved. In Jesus' name, amen.